Okay, we are going to try and do something live. I have no idea if anyone can see this. That's the weird part about doing this. Let's see. Heather and I are always so happy when it works. Let's see if it works. Oh, there are people there. Yay. Oh.
Once again, we nailed it.
We did. What was hilarious was I couldn't see whether people were joining. So I'm like talking to myself and I lowered your name and I said, oh, there's people there.
This history from the parking lot, or two old ladies figure out technology.
Eternally.
So it's lovely to see you. It's been a while.
It has.
And I would love to check in with you about something that I have noticed really in a big way of late, and that is how dramatically it seems that misogyny is baked into the Trump JD Vance ticket and into MAGA Republicanism altogether. What do you think?
Oh, baked in, and as has happened so often with sort of MAGA Trumpiness, baked in and then proudly shown off. Like, look what we can do. Hey, look at us. So it's like it's always been to some degree in MAGA folk and Trumpiness baked in, but this is like a parade of misogyny.
Right. So the thing that really has jumped out to me is the language and the dominance that Trump has always shown was always the kind of rhetoric that abusers use, and the dominance displays that abusers use. So when he talked about sexually assaulting women and bragged about it, or made fun of disabled people, or, you know, attacked immigrants or Black Americans, in that was a kind of language of denigration. And, you know, to some degree, in the right settings, he could mute that. And it feels like he doesn't mute it any longer. And now we got JD Vance putting it on steroids.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's not muting it anymore, in part, I think, because of blind panic at not having power. So if that is the logic of abuse, right? Is that you say nasty things or you're hateful, and then you sort of say, oh, haha, it's a joke, but you still mean nasty, hateful, misogynistic things. He's doing that, but now I think he's so panicked at not always being the center of attention. Things are, you know, he's no longer so clear that he has, you know, the upper hand or even an even hand in any way. We can't tell, but things aren't going swimmingly. Let's put it that way. And this kind of misogyny, in a way, is a power grab. It's a power grab, obviously, for men, to men. And that's one of the interesting components of this is, you know, the ultimate misogynistic component of this is doing it with no assumption that actually it matters what women think about it.
That's a really good point. You know, it really jumped out to me when when JD Vance was asked the other day on TV about his repurposing of that old video from, I think it was 2007. It was a long time ago, of that. She was a 17-year-old girl in Miss Teen USA, and they asked her a question and her brain froze. It has happened to me in the past and probably has happened to you. And she became a national joke, you know, because she couldn't answer that question. And that was kind of old and forgotten. And he brought that back up. And when challenged by a news host about that and saying, you know, she considered self-harm after that, do you want to apologize? And he was like, it was a joke. We got to lighten things up. And when I heard it was just a joke, which he has also said about the way Trump has been attacking women, I was like, for how many women is that not, you can't take a joke, the biggest red flag they have ever heard, right? Because
I can see some people are saying there's no sound, and I don't know what to do about that. So maybe technology is winning a little bit over us, but other people have sound. But I will say that, yeah, that's the biggest screaming red flag of them all. Is You have to know, people watching us now, there are scores and scores and scores of people, particularly women, who in their life have had, and I'm sorry, a guy say nasty thing about you. And then when you look shocked or upset, they say, just as you said, oh no, I was joking. Which, you know, they get to keep the nasty thing they said about you, and then they make you feel bad because obviously you have a flawed sense of humor. Otherwise you would have known that it was a joke. It's howlingly obvious that that's what's going on. And particularly, as you just said it, with the Vance replaying that video. And then, you know, they're both of them, this time or not, will never apologize, right? Vance, someone said, well, you're going to apologize for whatever. And Vance, no, I'm not going to apologize. Why would they? This is what they do. This gets them, they feel powerful when they're doing it. And it really doesn't matter, clearly, what the victim of what they're doing feels about anything.
Well, so this is one of the reasons, you know, for years I've said that the American people were in an abusive relationship with the Republican Party. And one of the things that has always jumped out to me was, I think I might have even said this to you before, there was a comedian who made a career by being vile and nasty, especially about women. And for a number of years, he was the flavor of the month. Nobody could look away from that particular comedian. And when it got old and people recognized how nasty it was, man, they dropped him like a rock. And I'm watching Trump and Vance and the people who are speaking like them flail and thinking, that's not working right now.
Right.
You know, and it brings me back to, if we're in this abusive relationship with the Republican Party, when it looks as if power is going to slip away from an abuser, they either kill the victim, that's when they're most dangerous, or the victim escapes and recognizes how incredibly powerful they are. And that's what I feel like I'm watching, is all these women. If you look at the number of registrations to vote since Harris took over the top of the Democratic ticket, they're off the charts. I mean, Tom Boxer follows this, and he's like, I just can't even believe these numbers. I keep having to check them. It feels like we're in very much a hinge moment.
Oh, absolutely. And that's partly because, you know, you said, you know, they might stop or they might kill the victim, or in between those two things, they're just going to get more shrill. And I use that word very deliberately. They're going to get more shrill and louder because they'll be thinking, well, this always works. And of course it makes them feel good and it'll get them something. And I think you're totally right. It's so screamingly obvious right now and so off the charts. You know, I mean, everything in a sense is off the charts when it comes to some of what the MAGA folk are doing. But in this particularly, the misogyny is everywhere. It does feel to me as though it's hard to ignore, right? Even if you're not sensitive to it, it's hard to ignore. It started out, right, where we were all like, ha, 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 childless cat ladies, right? You know, somewhere on social media, I call myself a childless bird lady. It's like, yeah, whatever. You know, you do ugly you. But we're so far past that now, on the level of, you know, obscene jokes and the other sorts of things being tossed around, off the charts. And I do feel as though in so many ways, there have been so many moments in this campaign that felt like, not necessarily transition. I hate to use the word pivot because that got kind of poisoned in the past with Trump's first running and presidency. But I do feel like there have been individual moments when people come to some kind of a realization. And this feels like it's building to becoming one of those moments. It's, of course, part of the ongoing strategy of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what'll stick. But in this case, I think they thought it was working. It got them a lot of attention. And that's really, in a sense, what they wanted. They want to be at the center of the media narrative. But again, I think they're not thinking about in any way the power that really enraged women who recognize them for what they are and increasingly do so now can have.
So what did you think of, I agree with that. What did you think of Vice President Kamala Harris refusing to take the bait when Dana Bash asked her to comment on Trump's reference to the idea she had discovered she was black or turned black or whatever as a political advantage?
I thought that was the way to do it, and I think that for two reasons. Number one, why is she being fed that kind of nonsense question. I think you might be frozen, but I do think it was a perfect response. Number one. Number two, she shouldn't pick up that bait, right? She shouldn't. There's no reason why she has to talk about her racial identity. And number three, the comment that she had, which is same old playbook. At the same time, she smacked at Trump, and she kind of smacked at Dana Bash. Oop, we lost Heather. I'll finish my point. Heather is frozen. Hopefully she'll come right back. My point was that what Kamala Harris, during the interview on CNN with Dana Bash, when she said same old playbook, not only was she hitting at Trump, but she was kind of hitting at Dana Bash as well. Same old playbook, same old question. So did Heather come back? No, not yet. Okay. You're watching the once again, the technology gets the better of us. But at any rate, should I go away and come back? I hear someone say, restart. I think Heather can come back, right? Let me invite her again. You guys, you're so patient with us. Let's try this. Heather, invite. Okay, come on back, girl. Okay, now let's see what happens. At any rate, yeah, she and I were talking about this before we decided what to talk about here. Yeah, I just invited her again. Thanks. What I was about to mention to her, oh, thank you. Person said, we're here for you too. When she and I were first becoming friends and Trump was in the atmosphere, this idea, this topic, this conversation was one of the first conversations we had. We were texting back and forth, and we were talking about the fact that there's such a dynamic, such an ethos of abusive, just you could feel it. I think many women feel it in their bones. And that's certainly what I think a lot of us are feeling right now. It's just right now, in the very near future, it's going to have electoral consequences. Okay, Heather, come on back. See if I need to do it again. Heather, you guys are the best. Putting up with, okay, I'm inviting her again. Heather is unable to join. Oh, well, that's not reassuring. Okay. Okay, so here's what's happening here. Is that her charger and battery on her phone were having problems right before this started. So I'll try one more time to invite her here. And you guys are totally right. What you're saying now about things that he's done in the past, none of this is new. It's the scale and the urgency and the sort of, I don't want to say poison behind it, right? It's a different level of nastiness. And as we said earlier, the total unapologetic nature of it. Okay, I just invited Heather again. Let's see what happens. It's not saying she can't join. This would be good. Come on, Heather. Thank you guys for sticking around. Unable to join. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do, guys. I don't know why she's unable to join, but I'm going to call her on the phone. And desperation. I meant like really sort of evil, nasty, whatever the word is that I'm not finding. But desperation works really well. I'm going to leave for the moment and potentially come back. I need to figure out why Heather is unable to join, and I suspect it might be because her connection is gone, despite the fact that she's in a parking lot. So, okay, guys, I'm going to go away, and hopefully we'll come back, and there will be more soon. And thank you guys for being again. So, hopefully more soon.